So hello guys, this is Psych Maestro. You're in for another video. So I talked about giving a mental health seminar on my previous school. However, I would like to explain that most of what I talked about focuses on the abnormal side of psychology, the pathological side, yung side na merong the side of mental disorders. Okay, the side na mahirap, the side where dysfunction and distress lies. However, what I'm going to talk about to you today, what I'm going to share is the medyo hindi naman positive 100%, but parang normal side of psychology. How can mental health apply to people like us, normal people without mental health disorders or mental health problems or mental disorders. So let's do this, guys. Let's do this. So there are a few things to remember. Number one is that your mental health is more important than your academics and your profession. Your mental health is more important than your academics and your profession. School life and work life is important, but you must always remember that your mental health is much more important. Anong saysay ng pagiging successful at school and at work if you're having so much stress in your life, so much burden and so much psychological distress? You're maybe short term you're productive, but all those stress will accrue, and then one day, bang, mababurn out ka. So learn to take care of yourself. Learn to do practices that improve mental health, and I will share to you those practices. Number two, the second thing to remember is that examine the shoulds that you impose to yourself. Sometimes the thing that you should do doesn't have to be done. For example, you think that you should be at the top of your class. No. It's good that you pursue a high goal. However, you really don't have to. You really don't have to be on top always. You just have to do your best. That's all. This is a personal story of a person, a high achieving person that I personally know in my life. So here's the story. Grabe ang kanyang distress sa kanyang life. She has very grave responsibilities. Mataas masyado yung responsibilities niya. I won't go into detail about what those responsibilities are because it might expose her identity. However, I would just say to you na because of that, parang nag-collapse siya emotionally, because aside from her responsibilities and aside from the fact that she is an overachiever, and on top of that, meron siyang problem sa kanyang family. And parang from nagpatong-patong ang iyang mga problems, then from that, boom, she collapsed emotionally. However, her situation changed when she examined the shoulds. In psychology, we call it the tyranny of shoulds or the tyranny of shoulds. The thing that we should do. However, if we look closely, we will realize that we don't actually need to do the things that we think that we have to do. You don't have to be always on top. You don't have to win the battle always. You don't have to you don't have to convince others always or persuade others of your ideas. You don't have to make other people love you. And there are so many things that you don't have to do that you think that you have to do. But examine the shoulds of your life. If it is really a should, or is it just optional for you? Is it a should, or is it an additive to your life only? So that's the second thing. The third thing that you must remember is that life is not a race. This is not a competition where you have to do everything 100%. You have your own pace. Know who you are and know your pace is. For example, if ang kaya mo lang is 50%, realize that and work. If 50% lang ang kaya mo na work, make it so that next time around it will be 55%, then 60%, then 65%, and soon you will climb on top. However, take time in building up your pace. So those are the three things that you should remember. Number one, mental health is more important than your academics and the profession. Number two, examine the shoulds of your life. And number three is that remember that life is not a race. Okay? Life is not a race. Siguro, doors of opportunity seem to be fleeting. However, there are always doors of opportunity always. You just have to be patient and keen enough to notice that a door of opportunity is opening for you. Okay, so let's move on to the mental health tips. Number one, very simple, exercise. Exercise. I would say na part sa aking talk was removing the distinction between physical health and mental health because they are intertwined. They are intrinsically connected. I'll give you one example. Depressed people or people with depression, or mas accurate yun, people with depression have low energy. They literally have low energy that they have difficulty in exerting themselves physically because their bodies have low energy. Kung meron kang depression, you're more likely to be at a room or somewhere where you don't move a lot or exert much physical effort. Another thing, how the physical touches to the mental side is that, for example, in doing exercise, for example, when you do exercise, your brain produces a neurotransmitter called serotonin, or the feel-good hormone. And that's how the physical jogging, walking, cycling, or what have you, jumps over to the mental side, which is the feel-good hormone, or feeling good and feeling positive about yourself and your life. So that's number one, exercise. Number two, proper and balanced diet. I'm not going to suggest to you diet styles because that is not my thing. I'm not a dietitian and I'm not food something. I'm not an expert on food. However, I'm not going to say what you should eat, but rather I'm going to say what you shouldn't eat, or at least avoid eating. The things that you should avoid eating is, number one, sugary foods. Number two, fatty and oily foods. Sugary foods, we eat sugar almost all the time. For example, in rice has glucose, which is a form of sugar. However, the sugar that you should avoid consuming is added sugar. For example, added sugar is found on, soft drinks. Soft drinks. Coke, Pepsi. Avoid. Avoid. Siguro, if you really want to drink those things, make it so nga minimal lang ang intake mo. Okay? I'm not imposing this on anyone, but make it so na minimal ang intake mo. But because it doesn't just affect your physical health, it also affects your mental health. Okay? Number 2, this fatty and oily foods. Again, we need that in our body and we consume it in other foods that we intake. However, too much is bad. Okay? Too much of it is bad and it could make our bodies weaker and also our minds weaker as well. So, yun. Number 1, exercise. Number 2, proper and balanced diet. Ano pa? Number 3 would be, I say, hindi na ito, I'm not saying this in a particular order. I'm just saying what I already thought about in my mind a while ago. Number 3 would be learn a new skill or cultivate an existing skill. As you know, I am a beatboxer and also a spoken poetry artist. I also do raps dati. I'm a rapper. However, hindi ko yun siya masyado na cultivate now. But I could always revive that skill. Okay? So, number 1, learn something new. If you don't have a skill, get one. If you don't know how to play a guitar, try to play a guitar. And for example, if you don't have a skill, I would suggest try to beatbox or learn how to beatbox. I'm going to make a separate video on basic to intermediate beatboxing from the BTKs to complex, from the yan, from the basic to the TKK na. So, from the basic to the intermediate to advanced. So, I'm going to make a separate video for that, pero hindi mo na ngayon. And yun, learn a new skill or cultivate an existing skill. Okay? Cultivate an existing skill. If you're doing beatboxing, be it so nga mag-improve ka pa sa beatboxing mo. Because cultivating a new skill outside of your comfort zone actually improves your mental health and your thinking, because it pushes your brain to work extra hard or harder. Yun. Merong mental effort talaga if you're putting yourself in a situation na hindi masyadong familiar sa'yo. One example, one other thing nga gisuggest sa other content na consume ko is learning a new language. However, it's not easy, it's not for everyone, but you could definitely try to learn a new language. So, number 1, exercise. Number 2, balanced diet. Number 3, learn a new skill. Number 4 would be try to push yourself to have, not push, but try to manage your time for social interactions or maintaining and established social interactions. Even if you're an introvert, it doesn't really matter if you're an introvert or an extrovert. Social interactions social interactions as well as social relationships is very, very important. This is the third need in Maslow's need hierarchy. Number 1 would be physiological. Number 2 would be safety. Number 3 is the social need, the love and belongingness need. We all need to love and belong. As social creatures, we need that. We need social interactions. So in order to have stable mental health, we need to have stable and healthy social relationships. So yun, um another mental health tip is gratitude journal. Personally, I don't write gratitude journals. However, I used to, but I don't right now because I feel grateful every time I wake up, every time I do videos, every time I read, every time I write, every time I walk. Gratitude is always there. However, if you're not an expert in producing gratitude, I would suggest that you do a gratitude journal. Right, gratitude journaling is very easy actually. You just have to a pen and paper and write the things that you are grateful about. Do this weekly. You could do this daily, but I suggest that you do this weekly para medyo mas mataas yung list mo of what you can be grateful about. And it doesn't have to be big. You have to, even the small things that you are grateful about. Sometimes we are aware of what we're grateful about, but sometimes we need to articulate what we're grateful about. That's the purpose of a gratitude journal, because even if looking back to the good things, simply looking back to the good things that we have and the good things that we accomplished is a really great deal for your mental health, because it produces certain emotions that could really improve your life. That, yes, positive emotions. Number 6, I think number 6 na tayo. Number 6 would be digital minimalism. Digital minimalism is simple in concept or in theory, but a bit harder in practice. But you'll get to have that once you practice yourself in doing digital minimalism. So digital minimalism, simply minimize your consumption of social media. Internet or other contents in the internet are not really as devastating as social media. Let me explain. So, in looking at the literature behind, literature would suggest, and I will try to find that literature and post it in the description box, but literature would suggest that the healthy engagement in social media is just 30 minutes, and a total of 30 minutes per day. Total meaning kung i-combine mo lang lahat na minutes sa whole day mo, 30 minutes lang ang limit. And to give you an idea of how I myself would engage in social media, I simply, for example, when I do I need Facebook because, I need social media for my platform, for putting myself out there in the world. But this is how I do Facebook. I open my cell phone, then I look at the number one I look at is notifications. I check the notifications, scroll a while, then check, and if I want to look at the feed, I'll just limit myself to 5 posts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pag 5 na, I will limit myself to stop. Why? Simple. Our brains have this craving for positive emotion. And social media brings that by the truckload. One thing na sa consumption ko from my learning is that one thing that you should remember is that social media plays with your brain chemistry. We'll review the neurotransmitter called dopamine. Dopamine is the reward hormone. If you do something that you're proud of, something that you're happy of, something that you're happy with, or just simply consuming something that makes you feel good, mo hit yung dopamine. For example, when you even exercising, merong dopamine. Eating, dopamine, and yung mga ganon. However, the problem is yung sobra ng yung dopamine. Kung sobra na yung dopamine receptors will tend to be a little weaker. And this is the problem with addiction. For example, if you're a drug addict, your dopamine receptors are very, very weak na. Kasi na-desensitize na masyado yung receptors mo. That's why tumataas yung tolerance. For example, one hit of drug, for example, let's say cocaine. One hit of cocaine, mo spike yung dopamine mo. But the next time you hit another cocaine, the threshold becomes bigger for that same hit of the same impact of dopamine, and you need to consume more and more. And that's how substance disorders start with. And it's the same principle that applies in social media. However, hindi siya as devastating as drugs, but it's still the same principle. Every post is a hit of dopamine. The anticipation na meron kang magandang makita sa Facebook wall mo is a hit of dopamine. Scroll, boom. New picture kay crush, boom, dopamine. Kita ka, magandang photo, dopamine. Yun. And it wears your brain down. You may not know it, but it wears your brain down, man. So, digital minimalism. If you're still starting, I suggest that wag mong madaliin. It's a process. So, for example, if you're grabe kang mag-consume ng social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, those are the 3 big social medias. And if you also do Snapchat or TikTok, what have you, same pa rin ang principle, but the same principle applies. But if you're a heavy consumer, limit your social media to 10 minutes. Then, because I said total yung 30 minutes total. However, you look at social media multiple times in the day. For example, 10 minutes limit mo morning, then 10 minutes sa afternoon, then 10 minutes sa gabi. 30 minutes yun total. 30 minutes. So 10 minutes kasi it will build up across the day. So digital minimalism. I understand the concept of FOMO, or fear of missing out. However, we can still do social media just within the framework of the 30 minutes because it is the optimal time for your mental health. Exceeding it, hindi na siya healthy. Next would be use power naps when you need it. Power naps is a nap that lasts for 10 to 15 minutes only. Exceeding won't make it better. And in fact, it can even be worse if masyadong matagal yung tulog mo. Because, for example, if masyadong matagal yung tulog mo, it will collapse parang from nap to sleep. Magkaiba ho ang nap sa sleep. Nap would be just a short while so that to recharge yourself. As sleep, medyo matagal yun. Ang effect sa nap ay once you wake up, you feel energized. Ang effect sa sleep, medyo groggy ka. Medyo parang yung ganon, medyo groggy ka. Meanwhile, sa nap, may energize ka. So, 10 to 15 minutes. Exceeding, it won't help you if mag-exceed ang power nap mo. So, medyo marami na yung mga tips ko. So, but you can always rewatch the video and pause and write down and do all those things. The before my best, meron talaga akong best na mental health tip for you guys. However, this is the second last before my best tip. The second last would be try to do meditation. Try to do meditation. I know it sounds parang new agey, parang medyo siya mayroong religious undertones or spiritual undertones, but it's really a mental health thing. It's not a religious thing, and it's not only for Buddhists or those practitioners, pero all of us can practice meditation. So how do we do meditation? Very simple. Try to sit down, close your eyes, inhale and exhale. Then what you do is that you notice how your lungs expand and contract. Parang ganun. Then notice how your lungs expand and contract. Then also notice how it feels. Anong sensations mo sa body. Just close your eyes, focus. I know parang madali siya, but it's actually not. Because once you do meditating, you'll realize na thoughts always interrupt you. And once thoughts interrupt you, what you do is just look at your thoughts, then focus back on on breathing. Notice how your lungs expand and contract. And if you're good at noticing how your lungs expand and contract, try noticing the sounds in the room, your other sensations that you feel in the body. So that's how you do meditating. And I would suggest, if you're a beginner at meditating, I would really suggest that you look at guided meditation. One thing that I use is Sam Harris. Sam Harris's guided meditation. Just search Sam Harris guided meditation, and he is a meditator na matagal na siyang nagme-meditate, and also a neuroscientist. So you could say talaga na meron talaga siyang intellectual authority in saying that meditation is really a positive force in your mental health. So that's it. The last and best tip is here. The last and best tip is self-care day. You have 6 days to work, but you have 1 day for yourself. Self-care day. You have 6 days to work, 1 day for yourself. What do you do in this self-care day? Parang i-combine mo lahat ng tips na sinabi ko sa'yo and use it in 1 day. Parang ganun. Okay? So, number 1 rule, meron tayong few rules in self-care day. Number one, no work-related or work-related, school-related activities. Mapa, assignment yan, projects, no. Don't do it. Because self-care day nga. So, you don't have to think about the stressful things. You don't have to think about them. Self-care. Number 2, digital minimalism still applies. 30 minutes pa rin. Limit yourself to 30 minutes. Number 3, do the things that make you happy and at the same time are productive. Like exercising, learning a new skill, reading, and other things. So, basically for me, every day is a self-care day. I walk, I jog. Sometimes lang I meditate, not always naman din, pero sometimes I meditate. I read a lot. I watch YouTube videos, I create YouTube videos, etc. So make it productive for you. Make it personal and make it personal, make it meaningful, and make it enjoyable. So self-care day. If you want to learn a new skill, use that time to learn a new skill. If you want to learn something new, use the time to learn something new. So, kung merong limit na 30 minutes yung social media, walang limit yun when you're trying to learn something. Meron naman, pero kasi information overload, but you don't have to, overload yourself. Even try watching educational YouTube videos. It doesn't have to be related to your course or your job. Just try to watch educational YouTube videos. It really helps. Because yan ang practice ko. I watch educational YouTube videos mainly on psychology and philosophy. Yan ang two domains ko, psychology and philosophy. I watch a lot of them and it really helps me a lot for my and it really develops myself. So yun. So I hope marami kayong natutunan, guys. Keep watching. Subaybayan nyo ang aking journey so that you'll learn more. Yes. Push natin ang mental health. Let's promote and advocate mental health here in the Philippines and to our communities and also to the world in general. So, this is Psych Maestro. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And yun lang po. Thank you, guys.